Joining us now on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy, here for our Class 5A preview is the head coach at McAlester going into his second year as the head coach of the Buffaloes. James Singleton joins the program now. Coach, how are you doing this morning?
Doing good, Michael. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely, anytime. And you're going into your second year. Last year, you guys had a solid season. Only one loss in the regular season to Skiatook in a close one, 17-13. You make it into the playoffs. You go to Bishop McGuinness and lose a heartbreaker, 41-40. What kind of momentum can you take into this season off of last year's 5A quarterfinal run?
Well, we felt like going into the year, obviously our mantra, our MO this year has been to finish. Our two biggest games of the year last year, we lost in the final seconds of the game. Both games that we felt like we had in hand and kind of lost there at the very, very end. And it's been a great motivator for us to keep us going through the off season and going through spring ball and through our summer workouts, of course. Now we're here and we put that behind us and we're just focusing on what we need to do to make ourselves better, but we're really excited and ready to go.
A lot of people are excited to see Braden Klusak this year from McAlester, a guy who does a little bit of everything for the Buffaloes offense, a little bit of defense. I know you and I spoke during the spring, and you mentioned that college coaches think that he has the potential to even play linebacker at the next level, which is something he hasn't done yet. But, we're seeing a lot of versatility from Klusak this offseason and last year. What do you expect from him this fall? Do you expect him to even elevate his game to a higher level?
Well, you would expect going into your senior year, you want to be able to take your game to the next level, and we fully expect him to do that. He had a solid offseason for us, put on some weight. He went to the Dallas Combine and put on a show for those guys down there. But going into his senior year, we're going to move him around a little bit on offense, of course, do some things with him on defense. And, we expect him to have an outstanding year. Of course, getting in the ball is one thing that we'll need to do. And, of course, we have Braden Parker back, our starting quarterback from last year, who really, really improved. If you go back and watch film from week 1 to week 11, he really, really grew up as a quarterback, and I think he's going to do a great job of just getting Braden the ball so Braden can do what he needs to do.
A new feature that started last year in high school football here in Oklahoma is the Week 0. And last year it was predominantly for the smaller schools, 3A, 2A, and Class A. This year, more and more of the bigger schools, and I'm talking 5A, 6A, both Division I and Division II, they're starting to schedule teams in that Week 0 and play a regular season game as opposed to scheduling that second scrimmage. You guys are one of those teams. You'll travel up to Bartlesville for that Week 0 game on August 26th. Walk me through the philosophy there with scheduling a regular season game during that, what used to be that second scrimmage week before the start of the regular season. Now you're playing a regular season game that counts.
Well, I'll tell you, I would like to have a philosophical approach to it, but the reality for us here was we couldn't find a week 2 opponent. And, and we didn't want to have a 9-game season. So we were kind of locked into that. That was our only opportunity. I talked to coach up at Bartlesville, and they were in the same situation. And so we were able to make the 0 week work. It's a new adjustment for me, obviously, as a coach, and with our staff. You feel like you're a little under the gun and under duress because you're having to get that extra week in. That being said, of course, with summer workouts and things like that everybody does, your kids should be ready to go anyway before you actually – and because most of your second scrimmages now anyway, you're playing a controlled half anyway, which is what we've always done.
Right.
We did that here at McAlester and also when I was at Fort Gibson, and a lot of coaches do that. So it does have its benefits. I think, trying to get yourself organized with school and everything else all starting at the same time, that's a little bit of a headache trying to get your coaches to practice and things like that. But, call me back in about 4 weeks, and I'll let you know what I really think about it once we actually go through the process. So, today we're having an inter-squad scrimmage, and we're going to incorporate a lot more special teams today in our inter-squad scrimmage than we have in the past, just to get that extra, day of preparation before we get to that 0 week game.
Now, defensively for this team, I mentioned Klusak also plays a little bit of defense for you guys. Graham Eaton returns to anchor that defensive line and really is the catalyst that really gets it going for this defense. Defensively, what do you expect from this year's group of Buffaloes as you head into the season?
Well, defensively, just kind of looking at us yesterday, putting pads on, we're not going to be as big as we were last year in the interior line at linebacker, but I feel like we could be potentially a little more athletic in some of those positions. No disrespect to those guys we had last year because they were great football players, but not nearly as big. But we feel like we can run a little bit faster, so we're really, really excited about that. As far as our defense, we're going to be able to bring a few more pressures than we do traditionally here at McAlester, and move some guys around. Of course, Graham at defensive end, we really, really like him. We've got two inside linebackers that we feel like are going to step in and do a really good job in Miles Rowland and Wes Kuntz. Miles will knock your block off, and Wes is a very, very athletic and has a nose for the ball. We really like that. And another kiddo, Dakota Mick, is really stepping up and doing a great job for us at defensive end, as well as Clayton Slater. And Clayton Slater got a bunch of playing time last year, but we really, really like what he's doing right now.
All right, Coach.
And then, of course,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry, just Sean Bryant. He started for us at corner last year. We're moving him to safety, and he looks like he's much more comfortable at that position, and we really like what he's doing at safety.
Coach, we'll get you out of here on this. You guys, like I mentioned, made it to the quarterfinals a year ago, fell in an absolutely classic to Bishop McGuinness, 41-40, close game throughout. What has to happen for this team to return to championship form? It hasn't been too long since McAlester was in the 5A state title game a couple years ago when they lost to Guthrie. What has to happen for this team to return to the championship game and win it all?
Well, you hate to give company lines, but honestly, our key is going to be our offensive line up front, how fast that they can gel and really come together. And then obviously injuries is another thing. We could lose 3 or 4 kids with the injuries, and it could go south really quick. But one thing about McAlester, it's a very, very tradition-rich program. We've won here for a long time. The expectations here, and our kids know when it's time for them to answer the bell. 9 times out of 10 they do, and so that's good for us.
Coach, as always, I appreciate our conversations. I know you got a scrimmage that's about to start, so we'll let you go. Thanks so much for joining us here for our Class 5A preview.
All right, buddy. Thanks again.
That's McAlester head coach James Singleton joining us here on the OK Preps Roundup, powered by Excel Therapy.